Days after the Senate passed the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, the House of Representatives on Friday followed suit, ceding the prerogative to decide the mode of transmitting election results to the Independent National Electoral Commission and adopting the electronic and manual transmission of election results. Joining us this morning to speak on the civil society's response to the electronic transmission of results is James Ugochulkwu, Co-Convener, Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room. Welcome on board, James. Good to have you here today.
Thank you for having me, Steve.
Thank you. I watched the press conference of your organization a couple of days ago, and very fundamental statements were made. Now that the National Assembly seems to be done with the issue of the amendment bills, where are we? I mean, who has won? Who has lost? Is it all over now? Should people just go and sit down and accept what the National Assembly has done?
Well, from what we've seen at the floor of the National Assembly, we are not very satisfied with what they came up with as a resolution. And the House of Representatives, the way and manner the whole thing was rounded up, still calls to question if our representatives are there to speak for the people. And in the Senate is even more appalling, with all the supplication we've made, with all the benefits that we've outlined that will be the importance of passing that bill. They still went ahead to put it the way it is. More disheartening is that we'll have 28 members of the Senate absent during that kind of important national discourse. So it calls to question if they are really taking Nigerian people seriously, or if they're actually representing the people. So for us in the civil society, we are not satisfied with this current legislation they are pushing forward. And we are hoping that there are still time for reversal, since they've gone on break and they are still going to come together to ratify the bills in both houses.
Very good, James. Now, in retrospect, from your own perspective, what was wrong with the 2010 law in its previous form?
Well, one thing about law is about transformation, amendment, repeal as things transpire. The essence of us campaigning for electronic transfer is that transmission of result is because right from 2011 election, we discovered that where the devil entered the ballot box is during collation process. And we in the civil society have been hammering on making the process better using technology, because we know that technology can make this much more better in terms of transparency, in terms of buying time, in terms of proper collation of this result. So we've been advocating for that. And gradually, the INEC has been listening to us, and INEC at the same time have been bringing up technologies to ensure that the electoral process is better. And they've been consulting with all stakeholders in this regard. And that's where we get to this point we are. And INEC has even test run a lot of technological exercise, to make the election more transparent. They did the test run in Nasarawa by-election in 2020, August. And during the Edo State governorship election and that of Edo State governorship election, they test run this electronic transmission. And we recorded tremendous success in this. And during the transmission, in a record time of between the close of polls and 12 midnight, in both Edo and Ondo states, we received close to 100% of election result transmitted to the INEC Z portal. So what we have been proposing is that let there be electronic transmission to cut all these shenanigans that happen during the collation process, because it's a waste of INEC resources, a waste of the people that are the stakeholders in election, let's put it that way, the Nigerian voters and even the election officials. And to cap it up, looking at the manner of manual transmission, it has put a lot of people at risk, including the people that collect the result, the election officials, the people that transport the results from one point to the other, and of course the overall outcome of the election, where you have litigation that the ballot box was snatched, this one was not well computed and all that. But you see that after the election in Ondo and those states, you have less of that. Yes.
Okay, James, I was just, trying to, assist to say that, it was Ondo and Edo, but, taking it further from what you have said, I am looking at it from the perspective of the caveat, the amendment that it looks like the National Assembly is succeeding in giving the contentious Section 52. Do you think that it assisted their point of view in any way, bringing in the NCC, the Nigerian Communications Commission, to come and shed light on, the 2G, the 3G, and if indeed this is something that we can rely on? Of course, that a number of them have used examples of the United States and a few other Western countries to say that you can't totally rely on technology, even though you can't run away from technology. Hackers could be at work, and then there can be delay in electronically transmitting results. Why not totally discountenancing the significance? But they are saying that with what the NCC has said, that not the entire country is fully covered. Do you think this is what will inform their final decision when they return from their recess?
Well, I think what will inform their final decision when they come back from their recess is the yearnings of Nigerians and the demands Nigerians are putting on them. Because these people, they work for us. They came campaigning to us that they want to represent us in the National Assembly and to pursue our interests. So Nigerians' interests should be paramount in their decision-making. Secondly, I want Nigerians to go to the NCC website now, ncc.gov.ng, and find out exactly the statistics they put forward in terms of teledensity. As we speak, Nigerian teledensity stands at 97.8%, according to report on NCC website. So now, if we have that level of coverage, then what are we afraid of? Because I don't understand what the man in the NCC is trying to put forward, because what I saw on their website is completely in contrast with what he told the people in the National Assembly. So in terms of coverage, yes, we are well covered in terms of teledensity. And if you look at the way and manner INEC Z-Portal was programmed, yes, INEC acknowledged in their own wisdom that, yes, there are some difficult terrains in Nigeria that you cannot easily access internet networks. So what do they do? How do they mitigate that? They say that, okay, as a presiding officer, once the election is concluded and the result written in Form EC8A, you should take a picture of it and upload it right there on your Z-pad. You should upload it right there on your Z-pad. Just like if you are using Facebook these days now, you can write a reply and they will tell you once you are online that the report will upload. So once you have done that, something is already on its way. And immediately the presiding officer gets to area of network coverage, that result automatically upload to INEC Z-Portal. And remember that the Z-Portal creates spaces for electoral participation. The stakeholders are watching the Z-Pad through IREV, INEC Election Result View portal. Everybody is watching it. The political party, the opposition, the party agent, the civil society, and everyone. In fact, the electorate too, they are watching everything. So immediately you get out of the polling unit to where there is coverage, it gets automatically uploaded on the INEC Z-Portal. So there's nothing to fear. They're talking about hacker. There's no, even if you use blockchain technology, there is no human technology that is 100% perfect. And there's no human technology that cannot be protected against thieves. Just as in your house, you know that thieves will break in and you fortify the whole thing. So even in the US and other climes during the election, yes, they employ some mischief maker, employ hacker to hack into the system. And INEC, I can assure you too, have their own ethical hackers that will mitigate that during election. So there's nothing to fear. And if you weigh both, it's far better to depend on technology that will give you faster result than to continue in the old way that permits people to carry ballot boxes from one point to the other and risk being killed. And going to 2023, given the peculiarity of the security situation in this country, it will not be advisable in any way to allow people to be doing manual transmission of results, because they can just hijack ballot boxes midway and we blame it on unknown gunmen or bandits or insurgents, because we have several sub-requisites for people that perpetrate evil in this country. So for we in the civil society, we stand for unconditional electronic transmission of results to the last day of that stand. We are not shifting ground on that, and before they come back on the research, we will continue to engage with them, because we know that these lawmakers might have passed make their resolution based on their feelings at that particular moment. But I can assure you that they are sensible and they have of course, the interest of the people at heart. By the time we start engaging with them, hopefully before the thing gets to the ratification stage, before transmitting it to the president, we'll get it passed unconditional electronic result transmission without any condition of whether they are going to do it for this place with network or the other place without network, but unconditionally across board. Because I can assure you, at the present INEC management are doing very well in terms of technology. They are coming up with several technology to make a lot of things better. As we speak now, they are already bridging the timeline of registration as a voter. You start it offline and you go and complete it online. The same way, I'm sure that before 2023, all necessary technological advancement and protocols will put in place to ensure safe transmission of results from the polling unit to INEC V-Portal for every stakeholder to monitor this process and certify that at the end of the day, this result or this outcome of election reflects our will. Because the fear of most of these politicians is that they might not be able to manipulate the results. I'm talking of rogue politicians among their midst, those that don't want the progress of the country. Their fear is that they won't be able to go back to the former ways of manipulating results, hijacking ballot box, risking people's life that do thuggery for them and all that. But I can assure you that there's nothing to fear. There are a lot of the gains of transmission through electronic means far outweighs any other consideration from my own assessment. So it's forward ever on this and backward never, and we'll do everything possible, legally possible, to engage all stakeholders to actually make this thing to be so. And of course, we are looking at, by the time the whole thing gets to the president is somebody that came to power on the mantra of integrity, on the mantra of fighting corruption, and on the mantra of ensuring that everything is done transparently. So we are calling on the President Muhammad Buhari, that when the thing comes to his table, in case the National Assembly became adamant, which I don't think it will be the case, he should reject it. There should be unconditional transmission of election results as a legacy that he is going to give Nigeria as he leaves the seat come 2023.
Indeed, James, I share in your optimism regarding this issue, especially and your perspective on the electronic input of the Electoral Act. But let me ask you this, in its current form, the one passed by the Senate, what reservations do you have, specifically, or what aspects do you think could have been, done better?
Well, we are even surprised that, the whole thing went the way it is. Because we've already engaged with the Senate. We called on the Senate President and we talked to the committee that on Electoral Act amendment and all that. What we should have expected them to do is to look at the whole thing holistically and see the importance that this bill is going to have in terms of reducing even the cost of election. Because by the time we are doing electronic transmission, we'll have less stress on our security operatives that are endangered species as we speak now, from moving the ballot boxes or escorting the ballot boxes from one point to the other. Because if the electoral thugs and the other mischief maker knew that this ballot box is not going to, or even when the ballot box is passing through from the polling unit to the collation center, that the result have already been transmitted, they will stand down, they will keep their guns, and everybody's life will be saved. So we're expecting that the Senate will vote overwhelmingly to support this. But we are disappointed that 52 of them voted no, and 28 voted yes, and 28 were absent. We are actually very disappointed on the 28 that were absent. Although that is not to say that even though they are present, they will vote yes, and the total number will be 56 over 52. But at least they should have been present, because these are important national issues that are being discussed. In fact, when I saw this, when I saw the result, the first thing I did is to check if my senator voted yes or no. And I was already on my phone to call him and thank God for him. He voted yes. I would have assured him that he's going to lose the next election. So for those that voted no, I'm appealing to them to see how they can lend their support to ensure that there will be unconditional electronic transmission of results come to 2023, because it's not going to be business as usual for them. I can assure you, based on our engagement with people at the grassroots, they are going to meet a different set of Nigerians with different political consciousness, more than they envisage. So it's not going to be business as usual. Even for some of them that are thinking that they are still going to bring the talks, they are going to be shocked that most of those talks are going to resign, and they will be forced to go and do the rigging by themselves. So we are calling on them to change their mind and support this unconditional electronic transmission of results, because we cannot be going to the cave century in 21st century. Most of them are saying that there is no network in their area. People like Senator Alin Dume and co. I'm very sure that today he's still going to speak to somebody in his constituency. There is no place you go to this country that people don't have a 2G phone network, enabled network. So it's not an excuse, and you cannot be reversing backward in terms of decision making. We are using technology across board in this country, in examination, in e-transfer of payment to the federal government, or virtually in everything. Then why should we come to separate election out of it? The INEC of the present management are technologically driven, and in fact, everything they are doing, they have a very good team of technologies that are working on every single aspect of this election process. And what we can do, what the National Assembly can do, is to lend them their support. Let them not look as if they are wasting their time trying to improve this thing. So they should lend them their support by giving them the proper legislative backing to perform their duties. So we look forward to, as I said earlier, now when they come to the ratification stage, that will have completely unconditional electronic transfer. It may not be 100% perfect, but there's always room for improvement. Everybody is improving his or herself on different aspects of life, and Nigerian case should not be different.
All right, James. I mean, that's a good one there. But I also like the fact that you said that engagement will continue, up till the time that they return from their recess, and up till the time that it will get to the president. But then again, I'm wondering, looking at this closely from the eye of the law, does this not amount to a dangerous erosion of the power of INEC? It looks to me like NCC and even the National Assembly are trying to, share part of the, parts of the INEC, and that seems to violate the independence, of that electoral body. If that happens, if you're not able to achieve much with your engagement, and and the Amendment Act is passed as it is, what can be done in the face of the law?
Well, initially when I heard that they are going to invite NCC, that the NCC will give approval, then the National Assembly will permit that before they transmit results. I didn't get that picture clearer, but as they continue engaging and reading, I discovered that, okay, what actually they want NCC to do in this regard is for NCC to maybe somehow carry assessment of our telecom infrastructure and advise the National Assembly if we are ready to use electronic transmission or not. Then the National Assembly will now say, okay, yes, we approve. Now, what I'm seeing here now is that, okay, the National Assembly is trying to give themselves power to decide if we are going to use electronic transmission or we are not going to use it. But the same National Assembly still watch the card readers' performance across board. That is electronic system of election administration. So the same National Assembly should allow INEC to continue to improve on what they've done. Remember that when we started this electronic process was when they introduced the direct data capture machine in 2011 election. And this 2021 continuous voter registration, they are using another different device, which is a direct improvement, in fact, a better improvement on the direct data capture machine. Now, for National Assembly to come and be inviting NCC is premature. You understand? That's if their intention at all is for the NCC to teleguide INEC on what to do. But I guess their assignment brief for NCC is for them to go around the country and say that, okay, this is the teledensity. And just as I said before, go to ncc.gov.ng now, you will see exactly the statistics of our teledensity. And from the looks of it, we are ready for electronic transmission in our electoral process. Now, looking at if they ended up not passing it, which I hopefully, in fact, I'm very, very optimistic that I'm not getting to that point of giving conditional transfer of results during their ratification stage. They will not do that because I trust the leadership of the National Assembly. They will get to a point that they are going to listen to the people. And by the time they are done ratifying it, I'm very sure they are going to come up with something that Nigerians will be very proud of. And of course, they themselves, they were the one that did all these amendments over time. And they know what the law says with respect to the independence of INEC. So INEC should be seen to be completely independent without interference from the executive or the legislature or the judiciary or any other arm of government. INEC should be allowed to do what they are constitutionally empowered in Section 153 of the Constitution to do, which is to conduct free, fair, and credible election for Nigeria. So the National Assembly knew that, yes, they're supposed not to tamper with that. And of course, they should also remember they are not going to be in that National Assembly forever. Whether they like it or not, they'll get a time that most of them and all of them will not be in the National Assembly. So they should make a law that will help them to come back to power, or that will help their own protege to come back to power, or their own children to enjoy power. So they should not be putting roadblock because it's in their power to put roadblock and make things convenient for themselves. So they should think beyond their own interests and think about the interests of Nigerians and the interests of INEC to perform its duty without being gagged or being teleguided.
All right, James, interested in the perspective there. Now, I would just like your input on this briefly in the next 1 minute or thereabout, talking about the fail-proof aspect of the electoral transmission of results. I know you already talked about the benefits, and how it goes about that, but don't you think there should be some form of contingency when it comes to an actual breakdown of electronic transmission of results? Because, like you said, there are incidences whereby, machines break down, as it were.
Well, just as I said before, the present management of INEC are the type that listen to feedback from election stakeholders. They hold briefs and consultation meetings on regular basis with every actors. And in these consultation meetings, you have experts from different fields. I, for one, is an ICT expert, and each time we engage with them, we definitely tell them that these are the loopholes we should envisage. And they have a listening ear. They have a listening ear, and they are ready to adopt anything you tell them. So now, just like the card reader, if you remember when the card reader was introduced, we had massive failure of card reader in some places. In fact, a case in point was our former president, Goodluck Jonathan, that came to his own polling unit. In fact, I was there in Otuoke, where he wanted to vote, and the card reader could not even read his fingerprint. So now they've already improved on that. In Ondo and Edo election, the card reader failure was almost zero across board, you see. So I'm very sure that as they are getting in terms of transmission now, which is a very critical aspect of our result, all those contingency plans will be put in place. As we speak now, during election, card readers, they have backups, card readers, that in case anyone is failing, in less than no time, there's a technology expert that will come and get that fixed. Same thing will go for the electronics transmission, so that if there's any attempt, to intrude into the collation process or to make the process to be malfunction in any form, there will be expert that will be there to take care of this. And this expert, I'm very sure, are undergoing training as we speak by INEC to ensure that, because INEC know that they have a lot of responsibility to deliver, so they are not, relaxing on that.
Very, very good. James Ugochukwu, would like to thank you very much for your thoughts on those issues, the new Electoral Act, and we'll be speaking with James Ugochukwu, who is the co-convener at Nigerian Civil Society Situation. Thanks for coming.